is we're going to present these projects individually to the class, and what the student's going to do, or the designer in this case, is going to talk about their book a little bit, talk about the concept of the book, the context of the book, and their design. Maybe their compositing, kind of the choices they made. Then as a group, we're going to respond to that design and offer bits of praise, which always happens, and then also criticism as well. All right, and criticism is going to come in the form of some of the things we talked about last week. So things like contrast, alignment, repetition, those kinds of things that we discussed, those 4 different kind of categories we talked about from last week. So you're going to kind of consider those 4 categories. What do you think about proximity, alignment, contrast? I'm missing one. Help me here. Repetition. So those 4 different categories we're going to think about when we're looking at these pieces. And usually it's not a very demanding experience, but it does take a lot out of the class to kind of get through this. My last class did really, really well as a group. Everyone talked, everyone sort of intervened. If you're one of those people that's kind of shy and doesn't talk a lot, challenge yourself to talk. Look, Sarah, talk to us.
Okay, so First Being a Wallflower is a book about Charlie, who's the main character, and it's written in a series of letters, for those of you who have never read it before. But it's based about him like growing up in high school. He's kind of like socially awkward, therefore like Wallflower. I don't know if like for whatever reason it is, but whenever I like thought of the title, like this is the image I thought of. So I was just, I don't know.
So this is a composite of the sunflower, and then
Yes.
eyes put on the sunflower,
Yes.
and then a really simple kind of, it's like a pale blue maybe?
Yep.
Okay, really
Like
simple
a
pale
greenish
blue.
Yep.
Okay, kind of a minty colored background, and then just very simple kind of choices on the piece. All right, class. Sarah's piece, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Yeah, Nia.
I have no idea what this book is. Like, I've never even read it before, but
I
I like it. I like the simplicity of it.
Okay.
I'm all about like simplicity when it comes to like book covers for the most part. I really like the eyes and how the eyes kind of like bring out, like the background brings out the eyes too, because like they're the, like very similar colors.
Yeah.
And then the yellow popping up against it. I like it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. I like how the entire cover is like one color. It just
I actually really like the way that the title is kind of waved like that. Normally I don't really like having text
I don't either.
warped, but it works well with this cover. And I think, I haven't actually read the book, but from what I understand of the story, it works well with just sort of the feeling that the book kind of inspires.
What does that waving make you feel when I see it? I agree with you, but I can't quite figure out what it...
I feel like they're outside.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the sunflowers like tilted in this.
I was also like very whimsical.
It's a clever use of the warped text, and I even said last week when I introduced that idea that I usually don't like this effect at all. It's, you use it sparingly, but in this case it really, really works. We need that little bit to kind of make it kind of flow through.
Plus, I think it makes what would normally be a simplistic cover a little bit more interesting.
Yep, it just gives it one more sort of degree of sophistication by doing that slight little wave. She also chose all undercase for the title, which I also think was kind of clever. It's something like, I don't know, there's no power behind it. The wallflower kind of hiding, you know, it's not that bold like T, you know, it's this sort of understated T, which I kind of like. So I
The
think that was
font
kind of clever.
actually doesn't have uppercase as well, so
Well,
I'm not gonna give it all, you know.
But it seems nice that she did just, it's all lowercase, it's kind of lovely. But, anything else we sort of noticed about this piece? Things that maybe not working, because I do like the simplicity of it. Is that Hannah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's just the way I'm looking at it, but the stem kind of looks like a leaf was taken off. But I don't know if it would have looked better or worse without it.
Where was the leaf came off? This part here?
Yeah, it just looks like no, like
On the other
Oh,
side,
here.
and the inside, yeah.
The little
I
wedge.
don't know if it would have looked like weird like the leaf, but I'd be curious to see what it did look like with it.
It was like really,
Because that stuff always have like obnoxiously large, like everywhere.
That's a bizarre pickup right there, that she noticed that.
yeah, it was like really like, I don't know, it was really overpowering on the bottom half of the page, so.
That little nick in the stem might be bothering the eye. So by
Yeah.
cloning or something to make it more smooth, maybe that's what she's responding to. Others. Hannah, nice pickup. How about the back cover? Yeah.
I like the font that was used because since the book was all written in letters, it kind of goes along with that.
Okay. So that font has kind of a letter kind of feel to it, I guess?
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
I can dig that. Anyone else? Yeah.
I would have liked to see like some color on the back besides just black and the regular
Okay.
blue. I don't
mean, she's definitely made a connection between the whole piece by keeping it all the same color in terms of that background color. So she's made that consistency throughout the whole piece. So I don't know how you bring other colors
Maybe like
into
just
it.
yellow or something.
I guess she's done this kind of like standing on the fringes of life above, and she's used maybe a slightly different font or size for that. Sarah,
It's
or
all,
is it
it's all the same.
all the same size? So maybe delineating those two parts
Yeah.
by making that one a little bigger or bolding it, or slight font change might just give the back a little more interest. It's a little stale, the back compared to the front.
Yeah.
So that, just a minor change like that might make it a little more interesting to look at. She's given us the usual kind of codes and all that happy stuff, which seems to work really nicely. Anything else for this piece? Anytime you see like these kinds of weird composites like eyes on a flower, they sometimes are really creepy. I keep thinking of that bizarre YouTube video of the tomato that talks, or the orange that talks, you know?
The annoying
It's-
orange.
Yeah, the annoying orange. It's really like creepy to see that like eyes, but in this case, there's something kind of beautiful about the eyes on the flower. So her design choice is really, really clever.
It makes me feel like sad for the flower.
It does, and it's not creepy at all. You want to sort of have an emotional attachment to the flower itself, so that's difficult to do. So she was smart in finding the right images and making them work. So it's not the annoying orange kind of syndrome where you get this really creepy kind of thing happening. Right, so I think it's a really, really lovely piece, I really do. Anything else for Sarah about this one? Some minor things, Sarah, to maybe just bring it up a little bit. Some STEM issues from Hannah, and maybe playing with the text on the back a little bit. Other than that, I think we're all in agreement. This is a pretty lovely piece.